Hi and welcome to the Geek and Hermit. This is our review of Condemned Criminal Origins, which is a game that launched back in 2005, so most people won't even know it exists. If you recall, that is actually the year the Xbox 360 launched for the first time. I know it's had various incarnations since then, but yeah, so I'd class this game as a first-person survival horror game. I think it's built as an action game, but I don't think that was quite right, because of the difficulty and everything of this game, and the scarcity of medkits and everything, which you can't then stockpile. I'd say it more fits the lines of survival horror, because it does get tough at some points, and if you just rush in, you're just going to get killed. I'd say it's quite a solid game. The controls are all very, very good. And the mechanics and systems they do actually have in, I thought was very good as well, because the combat is all melee based. There are some weapons in the game, but it's literally you'll find a shotgun on the floor. It'll have 3 or 4 shots in. When they've been fired, that's your lot. You don't find ammo or anything. You basically you may as well just throw it. So you do find them spread out throughout the game, but it's very rare. So 90% e-combat will be done with melee weapons, which in this game, basically pretty much whatever you can find, well, to an extent. It's like bits of wood, bits of pipe, axe, even later on a prosthetic limb you can use to beat people to death with. So it does keep it slightly different in that way. And also spread out throughout the games are these actual crime scene investigations, which they're pretty simplistic. Basically it involves pressing X and zooming in and zooming out to try and, because it starts off, you're basically an FBI agent trying to hunt down a serial killer, which is what this is here right at the very beginning of the game. And you do get a few more of these throughout the game, but due to some events that happen not long after this, you end up actually on the run from the FBI and being accused of murdering 2 police officers. So it's basically from there on in, you're trying to prove your innocence and also try and track down the serial killer that framed you in the first place. The plot is a little confusing. I do like the beginning part of it because it makes sense, but I think when it starts getting deeper and deeper into the game, certain parts of it didn't really make much sense to me. I'm not entirely sure if it's like a demonic possession thing, or it's just, I'm not sure. So on the whole, it is good. And the voice acting I thought was good across the board for everyone, which for such an old game I was surprised at, really, because back then it used to be a more cornball, cringe through your teeth things when you hear the voiceovers. But no, on this I actually think they've used, if not professionals, they've at least used proper actors that seem to know what they're doing, so that does help. But apart from this, really, your mostly communication with the outside world is through your phone, speaking to your contact at the FBI office. Now the AI in this game is one of the best parts of the game, because it's some of the best I've ever actually seen, which I don't think you got the credit for, because the enemies don't just blindly run at you. They'll work together. Well, I think they work together anyways. It bloody seemed to, the amount of times they murdered me anyway. They'll run off, they'll do things like that, they think you're safe and then whack you over the head. Sometimes they'll just randomly attack each other as well. I think that's due to, I'm not sure if this is a possession thing again, because everyone seems to be quite insane, so they'll attack each other as much as you. So sometimes you have to use that to your advantage. The combat does actually take some getting used to, as you'll see here. I spent most of my time getting hit rather than timing my blocks right or anything. But you do get better, because this is really early on in the game, so I didn't really know what I was doing by this point. And of course you do get finishing moves like this, which they're quite decent. But yeah, like here, you'll see a good example of the enemy AI just randomly killing each other. Or you should do shortly at least anyway. Although, what I thought was quite clever though, I can see it now, but obviously at the time I didn't see it. While this is going on and distracting me, from my left I'm getting flanked by another enemy that'll then randomly start attacking me. Which, the first time it happened, scared the crap out of me, because look at my health. And I just thought that was really, really well done in a horror game. So, definitely hats off to that. This is just outlining some of the actual gun combat I was talking about. Look, pump action shotgun. Yay, great. 5 bullets, that's your lot. But yeah, you can see the graphics aren't exactly up to par. I'd say they're on the lines of pretty much the first Fear game. I think even might even be the same designers that have done this and that one, I'm not sure, but what the fat geek used to eat, those cheesy poos crisp, you can see them dotted throughout levels in this, so I'm not sure if that's just I don't know, like an in-joke or something, I'm not sure, or I'm just remembering too much pointless stuff. But I think The Condemned, actually, the name of the game, I actually thought it was referring to the main character at first, like condemned to death or something. But when you play it, it actually becomes quite apparent that it's actually referring to the areas, basically. It's like an abandoned shopping mall, abandoned subway, abandoned house, all derelict rundown buildings, so I think it's referring to that rather than anything else. But yeah, I'd say it's definitely, if you like survival horror games, and you don't mind games that can be slightly tough sometimes. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but some parts of the game I don't find it was quite hard. But if you do like those, I think it's definitely worth a play. I mean, you can also pick it up quite cheap these days. I think I picked this copy up for about, well, it was less than a tenner anyway. So for that, I mean, it was about, I think I got about 7 to 8 hours of gameplay out of it. I actually enjoyed it enough to go out and buy the sequel, which I didn't even realise existed either. So what I'd have to say is, I'd give it about a 4 out of 10, basically based off, if you compare it to today's standards, it'd have to be a 4 out of 10. But if you're a fan of survival horror games and can get past the graphics, I'd say easily give it an extra couple of points, maybe even 3, but I'd say, just to be fair, I'd say give it a 6 out of 10. Maybe a 7 if you're a massive horror fan, but I'd say 6 was fair. So, thanks a lot for listening, and I'll see you next time.